So the question is, what could we do about it? About the small businesses failing? What should we do to stop it? Don't listen to the governors. They have no right to tell you you can't make an income. None. They are tyrants. But you see, we accept the tyranny because it's done in the name of health. Every nation has accepted tyranny. Every nation that has had tyrants has accepted tyranny in the name of something terrific or something they believed in. The current God is health. So for the God of health, we can ruin tens of millions of lives. We could have more people go on drugs, more people become alcoholic, more addicts who are recovering regress and go back to drinking or go back to drugs or go back to gambling or go back to whatever their addiction was. That's okay, because it's all done in the name of health. Safetyism, it's called. So don't listen. This has disturbed me greatly about the American people. I had not only an affection for, but a belief that this was a people that really loved liberty. And I turned out to be wrong. The left has done its damage. Americans loved liberty until the last two generations. In the 1968-69, there was a huge epidemic, the Hong Kong flu. Took the equivalent of 165,000 American lives. Nothing closed down, nothing. Not one store, not one business, not one restaurant, not one school. It's a different America today because the left has been able to raise two more generations through the media and through act. People need a sense of worth. The deprivation of this, I'm not talking about the people, hundreds of millions in the world, according to the UN, that are on the brink of starvation because of lockdowns. Remember, if there's no business here, then we're not buying goods from Bangladesh. So the guy or the woman making stuff in Bangladesh is now impoverished. They were making a living until the lockdowns in the West, because the buyers in the West stopped buying what they were making in Bangladesh, but the Bangladeshi government doesn't have the money to support them. What do? Or India and so many other places. Talking about irrational lockdowns in Africa, where there are so few deaths, unbelievably few, they still lock down. And now people are back to the brink of starvation in vast parts of Africa. There was an article in the New York Times about truckers in Africa who have no goods to bring, and if they bring the goods, they have to wait at the border till they get themselves checked for COVID. But nobody's dying of COVID in any large numbers in Africa. It's useless. By the way, none of this is political. You may think it's political, but it isn't. Because right-wing regimes have also done this. Israel, India, Britain is conservative. No, in the United States, it's political. Republican governors do not lock down their states nearly as quickly or as often as Democratic governments. So in America, there is a political. And by the way, the one country that didn't have a lockdown is not a conservative country by any means, Sweden. Sweden is the proof that lockdowns are useless. Sweden did not lock down. They're 20th in the world in per capita deaths. And the number keeps getting lower. They'll probably be 25th. They never once, not one day, did they shut schools for kids under 16 years of age. At the height of the pandemic in the spring, they were still going to school in Sweden. Almost nobody wears masks in Sweden. Why aren't they dying on the streets? Probably because of herd immunity. So many people got it in some way that they're probably now immune, as if they got a vaccine. Sweden, thank God for Sweden. It provided the world this test. People say, well, follow the science. No, they don't mean that. That is a phony phrase. They mean follow the scientists we agree with. That's what The people who say follow the science are lying to you and to themselves. They don't follow the science. They follow the scientists they agree with. Read the Great Barrington Declaration. Epidemiologists from Oxford, Harvard, and Stanford universities headed a group of, 1,000, massive number of people in the sciences who were against lockdowns. It wasn't even reported in the mainstream news on television or in print. It wasn't even reported because the left doesn't agree with the Great Barrington Declaration. They want people to believe all science says lockdown. You know who supports lockdowns by and large? People who have their jobs and incomes. For them, a lockdown is a lot easier than for the poor guy who invested his whole life's savings in his little restaurant in Chicago. That guy it's all lost. I don't know how he'll recover. Oh, no indoor dining. You can have indoor dining in an airplane. Why can't you have indoor dining in a restaurant? Nobody's ever answered that one for me. I've been on airplanes quite a few times during this time. I took my mask off and dined. You can't dine with a mask on. And they weren't 8 feet away from me. They were a foot or 5 inches away from me. People not dying from airplane travel. Why not? Indoor dining's fine on airplanes. You know why? Because the governments think that airlines must survive. And they're right. I agree with that. Why doesn't the little guy who owns a restaurant have to survive? Because the little guy doesn't mean a damn to the left. That's the irony. They speak in their names, but they don't care about them. Anyway, the small business owner is probably not a Democrat anyway. So what? So if he goes out of business, so what? There's always the big guys who are big contributors to the Democratic Party. It's a very sad situation. So we're told, don't get together for the holidays. I will, having the same number of people for Thanksgiving as I did last year. And I'll be one of the older ones at the gathering. I am more at risk than the younger ones. My daughter-in-law just got COVID just yesterday. Spoke to her today on the phone. How are you? I got a sniffle. That's her COVID experience. The vast majority of people under 70, that's their COVID experience, a sniffle. Of course, there are people who die from it under 60. There are people who die in car crashes. Nobody's advocating not driving. It's been an immoral thing all over the world. I'll end with one thing. I've been really racking my brain to figure out why our leaders, right and left, why are they so pro-lockdown? This is what I think. I may be wrong. This is my theory. These people are frightened beyond words of going down in history as under their watch, the following number of their countrymen died. That's what I think it's about. The governor of New York State, when he locked down New York State, which was completely immoral, why was Syracuse and Buffalo and little towns upstate New York, why were they locked down when all the deaths were in New York City? It's an incredibly immoral thing to do. Anyway, he said at the time, if everything I do saves one life, I will be happy. The governor of New York, Governor Cuomo. Really? If all the people you put out of work just saves one life, you'll be happy? These are people who never ask, what is the price?